Hello students, today we are virtually celebrating School Spirit Day. So I'm wearing my Charleston STEAM Academy shirt and I'm sitting here in my wonderful library, a little sad that my co-workers and my students aren't here with me. I miss you all very much. But I'm going to read us a story today about a school because I think at Charleston we have the best school. And the title of this book is A Fine, Fine School. And the little girl in this book has the exact opposite problem happening at her school that we have happening at our school right now. So as you listen, try to figure out what I mean by the exact opposite problem happening at her school. A Fine, Fine School by Sharon Creech. Mr. Keene was a principal who loved his school. Every morning he strolled down the hallway and saw the children in their classes. He saw them learning shapes and colors and numbers and letters. He saw them reading and writing and drawing and painting. He saw them making dinosaurs and forts and pyramids. Oh, he would say, aren't these fine children? Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school? Near Mr. Keene's school, Tilly lived with her parents and her brother and her dog Beans in a small house next to a big tree. On Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, Tilly went off to school. At school, Tilly learned her shapes and her colors and her numbers and her letters. Sometimes she saw Mr. Keene standing in the hallway. He waved. Aren't these fine children, he said to himself. Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school? On the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Tilly climbed her favorite tree. I'm stuck, get help. She took Beans on walks and threw him sticks. Let go now, Beans. And she pushed her brother on the swings and tried to teach him how to skip. Be one with the skip, he's thinking. But on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, Tilly went off to school. Beans and her brother did not like to see her go. Hurry, hurry, hurry home, her brother called. One day, Mr. Keene called all the students and teachers together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Saturdays too." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. And so on Saturday, Tilly set off for school. But it's Saturday. What about the swings? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene announced, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Sundays too." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Sundays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. And so that Sunday, Tilly went off to school. But it's Sunday. What about skipping? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. from now on, let's have school on holidays too. On Easter, on Ramadan, and Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and Hanukkah, and all the holidays on every calendar. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on holidays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. King. So he was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. He's handing out buttons that say yes to school. And so on Christmas, Tilly went off to school. But it's Christmas. What about Christmas? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. King called everyone together. This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school in the summer too. All summer long, every single day. How much we will learn, he said. We can learn everything. We'll learn our numbers, our letters, our colors, our shapes, the Romans and the Egyptians and the Greeks. We will learn about dinosaurs and castles and everything. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturday and Sundays and holidays and all summer long, every single day. But no one knew how to tell Mr. King that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers of all the learning they were doing every day. And so, on the first day of summer, Tilly set off for school. But it's summer. What about summer? Her brother called. And that day, Tilly went to see Mr. King. She stood in his office in front of his desk. What a fine, fine school this is, Mr. King said. What amazing things everyone is learning. Yes, Tilly said, we certainly are learning some amazing things. A fine, fine school, Mr. King said. But, Tilly said, not everyone is learning. What? Mr. King said. He looked worried. Who isn't learning? Tell me, and I will see that they learn. My dog Beans hasn't learned how to sit, Tilly said, and he hasn't learned how to jump over the creek. Oh, said Mr. King, and my little brother hasn't learned to swing or skip. Oh, Mr. King said. The little brother and the dog Beans are trying to swing without her, and it says, wrong way, Beans. And I, she said, but you go to school, Mr. King said, to our fine, fine school. True, Tilly said, but I haven't learned how to climb very high in a tree. I haven't learned how to sit in a tree for a whole hour. Oh, Mr. King said. That day, Mr. King walked up and down the halls, looking at the children and the teachers. Up and down he walked, up and down, up and down. Look at their faces. Do they look really happy to be there? The next morning, Mr. King called everyone together. The children and the teachers were very worried. He said, this is a fine, fine school with fine, fine children and fine, fine teachers. But not everyone is learning. The children and the teachers looked very worried. Mr. King said, there are dogs that need to learn how to sit and jump over creeks. What did he mean? Was he going to make their dogs come to school? There are little brothers and sisters who need to learn how to swing and how to skip. What did he mean? Was he going to make their younger brothers and sisters come to school too? The children and the teachers were very, very worried. And you, all of you, children and teachers, you need to learn how to climb a tree and sit in it for an hour, Mr. King said. The children and the teachers were very worried. And so from now on, we will not have school on Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, or in the summer. You gotta love it. A huge, enormous, roaring cheer soared up to the ceiling. and floated out the windows so that everyone in town heard the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers shout, "Fine, fine, fine." And the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers lifted Mr. Keene up, and they carried him down the hallway and out the doors and through the town and up and down and in and out, and everywhere they went, the people said, "What a fine, fine school with such fine, fine teachers and fine, fine children and a fine, fine principal." I'm so blessed to work at Charleston STEAM Academy because it is a fine, fine school. And I look forward to the day when we're all back together, getting a balance in our life in our fine, fine school with our fine, fine teachers and our fine, fine children and our fine, fine cafeteria workers and our fine, fine janitor and our fine, fine cafeteria staff and our fine, fine nurse and our fine, fine SRO and our fine, fine secretary and our fine, fine principal. Think about the opposite problem happened in our book today as we are having right now. We will get back to the same balance that Mr. Keene and Tilly found for their fine, fine school. Have a good day.